Web Intelligence 4.1 SP6 introduces a number of new features and enhancements. You can now query a relational connection using a freehand SQL statement. You can choose the freehand SQL document creation method when you want to use complex SQL statements that involve advanced database functions not supported by the standard semantic layer. Note that if you use SQL statements that return multiple result sets, only the first result set will be displayed. Also note that you cannot use the change source feature to map to a new data source when your query was created using freehand SQL. You can now save a group of often used variable value sets as a prompt variant in the prompts dialog box. Variants are supported for any data source, including SAP BW. Once a variant has been saved, it allows you to answer multiple prompts with a single click. Note that you can save multiple variants for a single document, and that variants are stored to the CMS. You must create, run, and then save the document to the CMS to see the prompt variant options. Note that prompt variants do not work in Web Intelligence Rich Client in offline or standalone mode. Also note that copying a document does not copy variants, and that variants cannot be shared between documents or between users. You can now create global input controls that apply to all of the reports within a document. The Input Controls tab is now divided into separate Document Input Controls and Report Input Controls lists. Previously, input controls applied only within a single report. Support is improved for a number of data source types. Web Intelligence now supports multi-valued input parameters on SAP HANA data sources when these are activated in SAP HANA Studio. For OLAP databases, Universe designers can use the Prevent Query Without Measure option to prevent users from executing queries without measures. On OLAP databases, queries without measures can cause servers to crash. Finally, Web Intelligence now supports dynamic default values for Universe prompts, meaning that the default date value for a prompt could be defined as today's date, for example. Null value is now available as a selection option in report filters and input controls. This allows you to select any null or empty string value in a list of values. The option to enable the selection of null values is available for combo box, radio button, list box, and checkbox input controls. The ability to interrupt or cancel a query in progress has been improved. You have the option to restore the results from the previous data retrieval, purge all data from the document, or return the partial results. In the Web Intelligence HTML interface, no options are provided and the report automatically returns to its previous state. Note that when you're working with a data source that does not allow you to cancel a query, Web Intelligence abandons the query and gives you back control of the document. However, the abandoned refresh action still runs in the background. This background process can affect database performance, so you're limited by default to 10 pending abandoned refresh actions per document. In the application properties, you can choose whether or not to keep the Web Intelligence Rich Client process active after closing the last window. Keeping the process active improves the loading time of documents. Previously, Web Intelligence continued to run in the background after closing the application, and stopped only if you quit the process in the system tray. The Change Source wizard now offers more control over how objects are mapped during a data source change. You can manage the mapping strategies and choose the order in which strategies are applied, including mapping based on ID or based on technical name. You can also see information about the objects you're mapping and their compatibility with objects in the target data source. For line charts, you can now choose between different line styles, including solid, dot, dash, or dash and dot. These selections can be made on the palette and style screen of the Format Chart dialog. There are more date options available with the relative date function, including year, semester, quarter, month, week, day, and hour, thanks to an additional period parameter to specify the period to add. Previously, you could only calculate in days and had to convert units in days before using the relative date function. In the Web Intelligence Rich Client and Applet interfaces, you can use the source path selection to re-establish the connection to an Excel data source when you upload a local Excel data source to the CMS, or when you move the Excel data source to another location on the same CMS. You can now duplicate a variable by right-clicking it in the Available Objects tab of the side panel. You can use the Shift key to select groups of cells in a table. In reading mode, the Web Intelligence Rich Client and Applet interfaces allow you to export data from one or more queries to a CSV file by clicking the Export button. Previously, it was only possible to export in design mode, and therefore only users with edit rights could export data. A new button at the bottom left corner of the Web Intelligence status bar takes you to the SAP Analytics Extension Marketplace, where you can browse extensions built by SAP partners for SAP Analytics products, including Web Intelligence. In the Web Intelligence HTML interface, the formula editor now allows you to access information about operators and functions such as syntax, input parameters, usage notes, and examples. In the Web Intelligence HTML interface, there are new printing options to print a report. The SAP BusinessObjects Web Intelligence User's Guide has also been enhanced, with new details on controlling the data shown in tables and information about report filter and query filter security. For more SAP Business Intelligence tutorials, visit sap.com/learnbi.